I'm Kinton the Genius, and today we are going to be talking about tuples in Python. So we're going to discuss how to create a tuple, access an element of a tuple, trying to modify a tuple, basic operations, indexing and slicing, and tuple functions. So let's just dive right in, but before I continue, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe button below this video so that you get notified when I make new lessons, and also you kind of encourage me to continue making this lesson for you. And if you have any questions at all, any challenge you have understanding my lessons, leave it in the comment box below and I'm going to respond to you with the support you need. So just click on subscribe button to subscribe and then you will not miss any lesson at all. So what is a tuple? In the previous lesson we talked about lists. Sometimes some get it confused, difference between lists and tuples, because they look kind of similar. I'm going to tell you all those differences right now. This is lesson 10 and the previous lesson is lesson 9 that talks about lists. So maybe you can try to go back to review lesson 9, of which I provided a link in the description box below. But both of them are similar if you can follow along. Alright, so let's go ahead to talk about tuple. A tuple is simply a sequence of elements enclosed in rounded braces. So this is the key. This rounded braces is a key. Alright, so let's create a new tuple right now, because this is my website, kintonthegenius.com/Python. Here you can get everything you need to know about this lesson on Python and many other lessons you would like to get. So let's go ahead to create a tuple, which is a list of items which may be of different data types or of the same data type. So let's go ahead to scroll down so that we just follow exactly the way it is. So let's create a list of names. Let's call it tup names equals. Now it has to be enclosed in this is rounded braces. In rounded braces, when we have square braces. For lists, you use square braces. So let me just write it down so that you don't forget. For lists, you use square braces. For tuples, you use this. Alright? So just keep it at the back of your mind. That is one key difference between lists and tuples. So let's just create list of names. Okay, so maybe I'll just add 4 items. Okay, let me just spoil it by adding some numbers. And now you get it that you can create a tuple made up of different combination of different data types. So I've actually created a tuple, and one difference between a tuple and a list is that tuples are immutable, as we are going to see in a minute. Alright? So this is a tuple I've created simply because I enclose it in rounded braces. I could change this to, and now what I have now is a list and not a tuple. So you can see there is no error. If I click on run and it prints out, oh sorry, let me just write the print command so that it prints out everything. Print. So if I run it now and it prints out everything, you can see. So if I change it back, so now we are talking about a tuple. So this is a tuple. You can see that there is no much difference, except that you can see that this is rounded braces. Alright? So 2 differences, keep it in your mind because you are going to encounter it in a quiz. What is the difference between a tuple and a list? A list is mutable. You can change the items in a list. A tuple is immutable. You cannot change the items in a tuple once you have created it. Now you can create a tuple made up of only one item. tup1 is equal to. So now if you do something like this, you actually have not created a tuple. So to create a tuple of one single item, you have to put a comma after that item. So this is how to create a tuple of a single element. And keep it to the back of your mind. If it's one single element, you must add a comma after this element. As well, you can create an empty tuple, tup2, an empty tuple that contains nothing. So this is how to create an empty tuple. So this is about how to create a tuple. Let's see how to access elements of a tuple. So just like lists, you can access the elements of a tuple. So let's use the one we already have. To access the element of a tuple, you use the index of the element. For instance, the first item in the tuple, this one, has an index of 0, the second item have an index of 1, the third item have an index of 2. So take note that the index starts with 0. So if the first item is index of 0, so now if I print TUP and I print the first item, which is at index 0, is actually going to print out the first item, as you can see. Now you can also print the last item. You can actually print the last item by using a negative index. So if I say -1, it prints the last item. So that's one thing you want to know about tuples and lists. It can support negative index that starts from the very last item in the tuple or list. If you specify -2, it prints second to the last. So minus means second, -2 means second to the last. So this is going to give us 56, and if I use -3, it's going to give us this name, Jackie, right here. Alright, let's now see why do we say tuples are immutable? Because you can actually change the items in a tuple. So if I say TUP names, and I try to say name 0, and I'm trying to change it to something else, let's say. So if I try to run this code, it's going to give us an error, say object does not support assignment. Even if I try to change it exactly to the same thing that was there before, it's also not going to work, because you can't simply do this in tuple. You can't change anything. You can actually delete the complete tuple, but you can't change items in a tuple. So basically, in a tuple, in a list, you may have list.remove, but in a tuple, you can't do that. You can't have TUP names.remove. It doesn't exist. You can't change anything in a tuple. So that is one thing that makes a tuple to be immutable. You can modify a tuple. So, however, you can delete the tuple, the tuple altogether. That is deleting the whole tuple that you can do. So if I say del TUP names and then I run this code, you can see that now it says TUP names is not defined, because in this line I deleted it, right? Good. So that's about how tuples work. So every other thing, for instance, basic tuple operations, so you can find the length of the items in the tuple. So let me take out this delete statement. So to find the length of the items, that is the number of items in the tuple, you can just use len and then specify the name of the tuple, and then that will give us the number of items in the tuple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now there is a function I try to use. Okay, I suggest you try out these ones by yourself. For instance, if you say TUP names plus TUP names, this means concatenation. You are combining these two tuples to form a bigger tuple, and then if I run it, you can. No, I'm going to take out the length. Alright, so TUP names plus TUP names. I take out one redundant braces here. So I'm going to run it, and it gives us a very large tuple that's more like doubles the items in the tuple. So it's called concatenation. And again, you can say TUP names times 2, and it's going to multiply the items by 2. So you can see, and the same way you can say times 3, and it's going to multiply it into 3 places. As you can see, it repeats 3 places. Alright, so let's go ahead to continue. So you also have indexing and slicing. So indexing is what we just did when we assign a particular element in a tuple using the index. Now what is slicing? Slicing means getting a subset from a tuple. Let's say you want to get from the second element to the last element. In that case, you are going to use what is called the slicing operator. So the slicing operator is this. So on both sides of this column, you specify the starting point and the ending point. So if I want to start from 0 and slice away from 0 to the second item, that is also Adi Jackie, is going to, meanwhile, the second index specified is not inclusive. So this is actually going to take from 0 to, it's going to take from 0 to 1. So the last index always is not inclusive. So take note of that because you may encounter it in an interview. So 0, 1, 2. So again, that index, the last index, the last number specified is not inclusive. So 0 to 3 means 0, 1, 2. Alright, in the previous lesson I tried to do something called compare CMP, and then it did not work because I specified it in my website. Now the problem is Python 3.x, Python 3 and above does not support the compare function. So you can't use the CMP to compare two tuples. In fact, you can't use it in Python 3. It was there in Python 2, and in Python 3 it was no longer there. So just keep it at the back of your mind. I've explained all this in when I discussed working with lists, so you can just use them. It's exactly the way I explained it right here. Max returns the maximum value in a tuple. Min returns the minimum value. Or we have tuple seq converts a tuple to a list. Now this is important because I'm going to show you how it works. So now if I say list1 is equal to tuple and I specify tup names, now this one is going to now be a list. So if I go ahead to print list1, you'll see that is a tuple converted to a list. So list1, I'm going to run this. So you can see that it just converts from a list to a tuple. Sorry. So this converts from a list to a tuple. So basically, what I wanted to say is list tup names converts from a tuple to a list. So this is what I wanted to do. So it converts it to a list. So take note that we have the square brackets right here. Okay. So this is basically how tuples work. Play around with it. I made it very easy to understand in my website. Try to follow the examples I gave. And I want to believe that you put the necessary effort to understand everything about tuples. I'd like to thank you for viewing. Remember to subscribe and also like this video if it's been informative for you. And the next lesson we are going to discuss, I think we are going to be talking about dictionaries in Python, and I'll see you in the next lesson.